Describe to us what happened Christmas 1991.
I actually realized towards the late 80s I had a problem with substance abuse, and I decided that I was going to see if the powers that be, maybe at some clinic, would figure that I was maybe an alcoholic or a drug addict. So I went to be re-evaluated to see what kind of, dire straits I might be in, and they said, oh yeah, you are an addict alcoholic. So they said, it's Christmas time, we don't have anything, we have no room at the inn, so can you come back in January? It's truly, they didn't have any room at the inn. So I went home to Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and I bought some substance stuff, and it was a really tough time for me. I ended up in hospital, and I was surrendered. I was asking God to relieve me of the habit for many, many years. I just didn't know how to stop. And of course, in 1991, on Christmas Day was the period that God said, you've had enough. And it was God's in charge for me, and that's I mean, without offending anyone that doesn't believe in God, for me, that's what works for me.
We talked for a little bit about how people think about drugs when they start using them and going, great, I'm going to become a creative guy. But again, 1976, well, I'm about to say 1978 to 1991, no solo output for you.
You're good, man.
What do you think I was going to talk to you about today? What kind of bass strings do you use, dude?
I don't know.
What country's got the best groupies, man?
America, dude.
No, I mean, that's a real question. Is that true?
True.
Okay.
I wouldn't know my wife, though.
That's right, that's right. We're going to get to her in a second. So, but from 1992 to the present day, you've released no less than 12 solo records. How do you account for such a spurt in creativity when you were not doing anything for so long?
Well, the weird thing is, when I was in treatment in early 92, I made a record with a band called KLF. At the time, they were the biggest, acid house, garage music, techno band in Europe, and they'd had 3 number ones, one with Tammy Wynette, and they asked me to sing on a record with them, and they would call me the voice of rock, and the media would call me the voice of rock. And I did the video clip with them right before I went into treatment. And we all knew that this song was going to be number 1, and it went to number 1 in 17 countries. It wasn't released here, so I primarily spent most of I live in Los Angeles all my 30 years, but I primarily spent most of my time in Europe and making records that were very popular overseas. South America and Japan was very popular for me. But I haven't played in America, and now I'm just beginning to do that. But I've made 12 solo albums in 15 years, which is a lot,
You just mentioned that you haven't played America. You're touring all the time. Every year you were playing Europe, South America, Asia. You're all over the place. Why is it so challenging for people to come into America and do those kind of tours?
In America, artists that leave bands like Zeppelin, Purple, Sabbath, it's difficult when you lose that brand. In Europe, it's entirely different. If Mick Jagger was to tour, not anything about Mick, he's great, but if he was to tour without the Stones, he'd be playing maybe the Wilton or something. Mm. So it's difficult. But in Europe, it's the rock scene, and in South America is so vibrant that to play in America is it's difficult. But now I'm going to play here. We're going to start in June. In Los Angeles, we're going to play either the Roxy or another club, and then we're going to do a major tour in September.
Tell us a little bit about the latest CD, Music for the Divine.
It's a record that encompasses all my influences, the hybrid of rock, funk, and soul. It's also acoustic, and it's scored for orchestra on some songs. It's a little bit, the press are calling it the singer-songwriter Glenn album, so it's more song-orientated. And I'm really honestly making music now that is kind of, I guess, selfish. I just want to make music that I personally want to make myself. I don't particularly want to make the same album over and over again, or I don't want to sound like any other artist. I just want to be Glenn Hughes. And I think if you can say that at the end of your life, that you've done everything that you wanted to do without selling out, I'm sure I could have made zillions more dollars selling out and playing rehashed Deep Purple songs over and over again for the Japanese, who I love, by the way. They've been very gracious to me, but I don't do that any longer.
Describe a little bit about your songwriting process. How do you sit down and go, okay, today I'm going to write a song? How do you go about it?
Every record I do, I normally, coincidentally, buy a new guitar or a keyboard or some instrument, and I normally write on that, whether it be a Strat or whether it be, you know, a new bass or whether it be a keyboard. And on this last record, I bought a 55 Martin acoustic, which, you know, resonated very much with me. It was like I was supposed to go into the Guitar Center that day and see that guitar, you know. So I wrote like half a dozen songs on the Martin acoustic.
When you're writing your tunes, do the lyrics come first? Do you come up with a melody? Are you working with a chord progression first? How does that go about?
If it's a rock track, it's going to be I'm upstairs with a, you know, laying down a groove. You know, it's then, you know, a title will come to me and I'll just write an appropriate lyric. But basically, it's and then just the words come out. But if I'm writing, you know, a minor ninth song, or if I'm writing a major seventh song, or, you know, a triad song or whatever, the words for me, I don't actually sit at a computer writing lyrics. That shit is not for me. It might work for Burt Bacharach and people like that, but for me, which
I don't think it's worked for him very well.
I mean, people like that. I'm in awe of the songwriters of the world, whether you're American, wherever you're from. I'm in awe of the song. It's all about the song for me. I'll never ever be. I just love the fact that I've been given this gift freely to be a songwriter. I mean, you know, it's a great gift to write songs. But, you know, getting back to your question, it can come in many forms. I do a lot of exercise. I go to the gym and I do a lot of jogging. And when I'm doing it, I'm always recording stuff into a digital recorder. So that happens a lot. I record on the road, in the tour bus. I record on the cliff, in a shack in a mountain. I record everywhere. You know, it's what I do.
It's what I do over here.
He's made a pretty good living at it, huh?
Fucking figure.
Let's hear it, man. You know, I noticed you did no warm-ups backstage. No. How do you prepare yourself to go out and sing night after night after night?
Fear.
Fear. Hunger.
I had a bad experience last year. I was doing a show with Chad in Madrid, sold-out show, and 4 songs into the set, I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. And come song number 6, I completely shut down, started to rip my clothes off, ran backstage, and we had to cancel the show. I'd had, for anybody that hasn't had one, a panic attack. And it was Saturday night in Madrid, and in the ambulance, it took about an hour and a half to get there, and I was making a wilt on my way. I thought I was going down, and I had a panic attack, and it was awful. But fear it's a good motivator. I call my fear Ralph.
Did Ralph come to MI today?
In a big way.
Did he really? Is it odd playing? Because I think performing for other musicians is probably one of the most difficult things to do.
Oh God, yeah.
Mick, you can let them in now because now you've slayed it.
You know,
so maybe you can tell them how it felt.
It's like we have been given a gift, and each one of us in this room has been given an entirely, although we are studying to be composers, writers, virtuosos, whatever you want to call it, we have been given a gift that's entirely different from each of us in this room. We all have been given something a little bit different in our generic, composure. And that's what I feel. My thing is a Glenn Hughes thing, and I don't want to be anybody else. And, and that's, at this point, I can't be, so. But I did have a lot of influences, and earlier on in this lecture, Chad, I spoke to you about my influences. And everyone in this room, whether you like it or not, has an influence. And, Stevie Wonder was my biggest, and I met him, and I recorded with him in '74. And after that, it was like, kill me now. So, and I'm a fan of music. I'm still in awe of, I'm not in awe of some of the pomposity and grandiosity of some of the artists I've worked with, but I'm definitely in awe of some of the work that I've heard. But may I implore you to go out into this world and play, stretch out, do opposite thinking. If you don't want to do something, try it. Try something entirely different. If you don't want to play this, well, give it a shot, because you never know what can come out of that. But the voice has been given to me. It's something that I just can't. It's like the highest high ever is to sing in front of people. In front of one person or 100,000 people, or You guys, it's a gift. I love it.
Do you do any kind of practicing at all these days, or is it just so inherent in you?
My warm-up is the sound check.
Okay.
It's like sound check and a nice piece of meat. Steak.
Right. Yeah.